ahead and call our pre-commission to order. And we will start with general housekeeping items. Are there any items that any commissioners would like to bring up, discuss? Any items or concerns, comments about the agenda? Hearing none, I'm sorry?
None.
Hello?
Hearing none?
Hello? Wait.
Oh, welcome, Commissioner Baker.
I'm having a really difficult time. It wouldn't let me in. Start video.
There you
Is
are.
it working? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. There you are. Glad you're here. We were just starting the pre-commission. Any
Okay.
comments about general housekeeping items or the agenda? So far, no comments.
Well, I'm not going to vote aye on that one, but we don't need to take it off the agenda. I'm going to just have my vote recorded as no on the one item that's actually on the agenda, which I am going to have to pull up. So.
Is that the CCDC item?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going
that's
to vote no on that as well.
Okay. All right, let's see. Got the agenda.
So, Commissioner May, I hear no other additional
I think that's,
discussion.
yep. We'll go right to your director's report. And if you'd like to comment on that one item, if there's any clarification that's needed.
Okay.
Go ahead, Director Wong.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, good morning, or yes, still good morning. I'd like to bring it to your attention that with our early bird issue this morning, today is National That Sucks Day, National Gripers Day, and Take a Wild Guess Day. What could be finer and such to have those laid out on this wonderful day? A couple things though that I shared with you earlier. I just want to re-emphasize from my perspective. We are starting to work a draft schedule for joint meetings to start up in mid-July. We're looking at all 6 cities plus Ada County again. We would like to start with Boise, but we'll have that out to you probably about a week and a half as to when we think those should coincide, and then we'll ask for your concurrence before we go out to the different agencies with that. But we are working those. Next, we are considering, and somewhat strongly, deferring this year's chip seal operation. Haven't made a determination yet. But if we do that, I know maintenance is working very hard to make sure we understand the absolute impact to that, to the PCI, to the current funding requirements, that sort of thing. But if we do elect to go down that path, and I'll brief you prior to, that will allow us to focus hard on the backlog of operations that are going on right now. It'll give us an opportunity for our paint teams to be out and do the things they need to be doing that's been put on hold right now, and then allow us to do hopefully a lot of concrete work in Zone 3 and such. So again, there's no free lunch on this. There's going to be a plus and a minus, but I will get back to you on that as soon as as maintenance has done doing their assessment. You heard the governor. I'm sure you heard the governor's presentation today. He's extended his stay-at-home order till 30 April. He'll reassess on 30 April again to see if he continues or not. It seems to be in line with what the president has suggested to the country, and in line with what the neighboring governors have said. Nevertheless, as I shared with some of you or with you last night, we are starting discussions on how we've been doing this on reconstitution for ACHG, but looking at maybe something that's completely out of the box when it comes down to standing up operations as we meet those different deadlines while maintaining the CDC requirements and the government's and the governor's order. If we go down this path, as I briefly outlined with you last night, it'll be a temporary issue, but it'll be something that the Ada County Highway District has never done before. And so the executive team will be speaking with me about this tomorrow and probably through Friday, and then I'll tee it up with all of you as we go forward. But I'd like to have a plan in place that we've already rehearsed, that we're ready to execute, as opposed to waiting at the last minute for a decision from the state to say go or no go. So we're in that mode right now as we've been through the entire COVID-19 challenges. But again, more on this to you in a couple weeks. We should fully understand, and fully is in quotes, please, the financial impact to the district when it comes down to the issues of gas tax, sales tax, all these different things that we'll be looking at in our budget process. We should have a good understanding of that by July. Now, I sent you all earlier this week the budget planning process agenda. We're sticking to that and such. I've shared with you some of the assumptions that we are making now. And of course, that'll be your decision completely when we make the initial presentations. But I think July will be an interesting date as we assess how much funding we think we'll have as we go forward. The final thought, and then I'll open up for any questions that you might have because we are getting close to your meeting time. Everything's going well here. We have no major issues that have creeped up to stop all the essential operations in accordance with the governor's order that we are performing. The team is working incredibly well to responding to emergency calls day or night. And I will share this. I'm sure Jennifer will not like this. She'll be a little embarrassed. But she has started a program for her maintainers where she and her kids, I believe, have put together little goodie bags for our maintainers, and she's out at 6:45 in the morning and 9:45 with the appropriate signage, and I think her kids are there too to wish the maintainers well as they take off on today's on their operations for the day. I think that's really neat, and so Jennifer, congratulations, well done. Thank you for doing that, and I will do my best to join you on most of those. I won't be on all of them.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, but commissioners, that's what I have for you right now. Again, more in the very near future on what chip seal operations may or may not look like, and then more in the near future on some thoughts about how we reconstitute operations maybe in a different vein, but continue to maintain the CDC requirements of spacing and all that great stuff here for the Ada County Highway Districts. Do you have any questions for me at this time?
Any questions? Commissioner Hanson?
Yeah, just that I appreciate the probable need to defer chip sealing, and I wonder if we might look into using some of those resources as we go into do maintenance and you indicated concrete work to put some safety features in where we may not have otherwise budgeted them, extruded curbs especially. And you've heard me comment on that since we're going to be doing their maintenance and in some cases community projects, using those resources to make those a little more safe. The second is I've gotten a number of requests from the pedestrian and the bicycle advisory committee members to be able to meet and discuss. They're particularly concerned, and I totally agree, with providing input on our list of community programs. I know I have to have my input back by next Wednesday, and so we're on schedule to collect information, and yet we will go for a period of time where the people we rely on to provide that information won't be able to meet. So I understand they're willing to meet on their own, do their own Zoom meetings, so I'd like to just give them an encouragement. I know that all three, the bicycle, the pedestrian, and the ADA advisory committees would have a lot of valuable input on those projects.
Commissioner Hanson, or Commissioner May, Commissioner Hanson, yes, absolutely. We in no way have not encouraged any of our advisory committees not to meet. They are more than welcome to send comments and their recommendations in and such, and we are reviewing those. As you know, the operations of looking at different things continue on and such. I bet sometimes it's a day later than our normal opportunity to immediately respond, but no, we would encourage that. And again, any committee that wants to meet electronically or however they'd like to meet, that's fine. And we do look forward to their input.
Absolutely. Thank you, Director Wong. Oh, Commissioner Baker?
Yeah, I'm just going to reiterate again what I said last week, that with the lessened traffic on the roads these days, it would behoove us to actually do as many projects as we can right now. And that includes with our force account. So, you know, we're considered essential. So I'm sure there are a few things that are not covered under that whatever order. But certainly we shouldn't be allowing a backlog to occur. We should be getting out there as much as we possibly can. And doing as much as we can. And, you know, deferring chip seal is one thing. Maybe we don't have to defer it all, but certainly we shouldn't get to the point where all we have is a backlog of things over and above what we normally have a backlog on, because, you know, we have so many lane miles. I just think we need to maybe start defining things a little bit differently if we're getting a backlog and then not having that backlog. It's not going to do us any good to just get so far behind. It really isn't. And I have to say I'm a little disappointed that the governor isn't opening things up a little more than he is, because this is so devastating to the people in our community. It's just bad. But we shouldn't fall into the trap of saying, you know, we can't do this. We should be doing as much as we possibly can.
Good points. Thank you, Commissioner Baker. Director Wong?
I was going to say, Commissioners, yes, we are doing everything within the guidelines and bounds of what the governor's order has laid out, plus ensuring that our team members and the public are well protected by the CDC requirements that we have. So a lot of the things that are being worked are essential. Those things that are not, based on, again, the current conditions that we're in, I would be very hesitant to push our team members into areas where, number one, we're impacting their health, and number two, we're out of line with what the governor's order has been directed to agencies. Now, again, that being said, we have not failed yet, not yet, to miss a call that has come in requesting specific support when it comes to a safety issue, when it comes to I'll call it a common sense sort of thing. But at this point in time, we are pushing as hard as we believe is not only legally but morally responsible for the Ada County Highway District. Again, but we're looking at a different concept now that we'll be talking about with our team members, with the executive team on Thursday and probably Friday, that Commissioner Baker most probably will answer your thoughts on this. But I understand your concern. I really do.
Okay, because like painting the lines on the road, that's essential to me. That's a safety thing. We could be going out and doing it on all the roads right now that are not going to be chip sealed. So.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Director Wong. We look forward to some feedback on those discussions. Does anybody else have any comments? Looks like we've got about 1 minute to go.
Yes, I have one.
I just want to remind, I'm sorry, Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yes, I was just thinking out loud here that if we defer the chip sealing, will we have sufficient time this year for those resources to be allocated to other types of projects, large or small, and still get them done in a timely fashion?
Commissioner Hanson, again, Commissioner May, Commissioner Hanson, the strategy that we're looking at is using those same crews that would have been used at chip seal in that designated area to work projects that may either have been deferred or to look at concrete work. The backside of that, though, is that we also have to look very carefully at our temp hire issue. If we do not do the chip seal operations, of course, that's an issue with paychecks to those temps that in the past have been relied on the Ada County Highway District. There's a lot of things that I have to go through before I come to you and say, here's what we're thinking. But yes, that's part of that discussion that we will be having.
Thank you, Director Wong. Anybody else? We're just up on our start time. Before we do that, I just want to remind everybody to please mute. If you are calling in, joining us by phone, please mute your phone. But if you do want to speak, you have to unmute that on your own. Stacy, did you have any other tips you wanted to share with the audience before we start?
Please chat with me if you would like to testify, and we'll get you on the list, and then you will be called upon when it's your turn to testify.
Thank you very much. And with that, it looks like it's time. We will go ahead and call our commission meeting to order. And Director Wong, if you would please be so kind as to lead us with the pledge.
You'd all stand please with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
States of America,
republic for which it stands, one
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with liberty and justice.
justice for all. Thank you very much. First, I would like to take this moment to do a staff recognition. I want to recognize Christy Foltz-Ulrich with our communications team for coordinating efforts for crafting masks for our team members and putting together a photo montage of our team members that are working from home. This has been a great morale booster. We are so appreciative of all the efforts of Christy and her team. I'd also like to recognize Christy indicated that there are an additional 12 ACHD employees that have been helping out with this. A friend of an employee has joined the group, as well as Mrs. Goldthorpe and her group, Treasure Valley Medical Mass Sewing Group, for their contributions to the effort. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we applaud your efforts. And like I say, this is a great morale booster, and thank you very much on behalf of the Commission. Our first item on our agenda is to adopt our agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. Do we have a motion?
Madam President, I would move the approval of the consent agenda with the indication that on item 2, Commissioners Baker and Arnold have requested to be recorded as voting no.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in
Madam
favor?
President, well, I just
Commissioner Baker?
say,
Commissioner Baker?
yes, the reason I'm voting no is because consistently I have advocated that the CCDC should pay for this project out of their own funds because if this is in a CCDC area downtown, and they get the tax dollars.
And Commissioner May, I concur with that sentiment.
Commissioner
I
Arnold.
think it should be paid for entirely by CCDC.
All right, thank you. Noted. We have a motion before you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
2 nays. Motion carries.
Well, Madam President, yes on the minutes, no on item 1.
Correct. And that was stated in Commissioner
Right.
Hansen's motion. So, yeah, it's duly noted. Thank you very much. Okay, regular agenda items. We have none this week, so that takes us right down to our public communications portion of our meeting. Right now, we have 2 individuals who have indicated they would like to speak to the commission. First on the list is Eric Willardson or Willadson. I'm not sure, Eric. If I have not said that correctly, please do correct me.
Oh, you got it. It's Fulton.
Okay. If you could please state your name and address for our record.
Sure. Eric Wilson, 4906 Wilson Street, Boise, Idaho 83703. And I'm also giving some testimony on behalf of the Veterans Park Neighborhood Association today. So thank you for your time, commissioners. We have identified something, issue in our neighborhood that we've been talking about a little bit for a couple of years, but haven't brought to ACHD's attention. About just increased traffic speeds on some of our cluster roads that are primarily residential coming off of State Street. State Street runs straight through the middle of our neighborhood association. And we've just been getting some different things from residents, emails, phone calls, with more residents walking and cycling in our neighborhood. There's just been more awareness of a lack of traffic flow, different techniques to slow traffic as it's coming off of State Street. Some of our streets don't have stop signs, there's no sort of holdouts or any sort of traffic calming measures. And so we just want to signal that we're willing to start a conversation with ACHD about this, about finding a long-term solution for this issue that our residents are facing. We also just want to, with more people out walking and cycling during the pandemic and finding time to get out into open space for mental health alleviation issues, we just wanted to also ask if there was any opportunity to maybe put some temporary, cone out holdouts on these streets to help calm traffic. Even though traffic's down, we're still seeing cars speeding in places that people are walking and cycling. And if there's some sort of agreed upon, we're just willing to have a conversation about if we could do some cone holdouts at a quarter mile from State Street or a third of a mile, allowing cars to have space to slow down while also protecting pedestrians who are using it for recreation during this time.
Eric, thank you very much for your comments. They're received. Your letter did come in this morning. As you know, we don't deliberate and vote on action items during the public communication portion, but I just got your letter before the meeting today, but I do look forward to following up with you, so I will circle back around. We'll make sure that we have the appropriate staff member looped into the conversation, and we will continue the discussion going forward. But thank you for caring and your concern and your comments.
Commissioner, if I could, I will.
Director Wong, please.
I will ask our traffic engineering team to reach out to him today, no later than tomorrow. I do have his, I believe, his cell phone number here. And so he'll be hearing from us either later on this afternoon or no later than tomorrow morning.
Great.
Very good. Thank you very much, Director Wong. Okay. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Next on our list, Nina Schaefer would like to address the commission. So if you would please state your name and address for our record, and welcome, Nina.
Thank you. My name is Nina Schaefer. I'm from the Boise Bicycle Project, and my address is 10020 O'Farrell, Boise, Idaho 83702. I am here to also express interest in similar things that Eric mentioned regarding the use of public space in our Ada County, which would be the streets. Although many of us have access to public spaces, such as the foothills and parks and other sidewalks to walk along, many of our residents do not have such access, and we are seeing a lot more people going out using our streets, our parks, and we want to alleviate some of the congestion seen in the foothills. So I do urge the Commission to work with interested neighborhood associations, such as Eric's and the North End Neighborhood Association, to perform some temporary road diets, lane closures, or temporary expansions to bike lanes to give such space for residents that are using these streets. I wanted to highlight an important pinch point that we recognize at the Boise Bicycle Project, going up Capitol Boulevard towards the bench. Oftentimes bikers are using the sidewalk on that road because it's pretty dangerous to ride up it, and we would like to see some sort of lane closure to give space for bikers, walkers, wheelchair users, and anyone who will be using that road to get to Ann Morrison or get to downtown or just to use it for public space. We see that as a pretty important pinch point regarding social distancing for bench dwellers and people who are going up and down, whether it's for commuting or not. I wanted to thank you guys for considering providing more public space on our streets during this time of the pandemic, and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
This is
Commissioner Schaefer? Commissioner Hanson or Commissioner Goldthorpe? I'm sorry.
both of us.
Okay.
Yeah, good. ahead, Jim.
Well, I just wanted to encourage both Eric and Nina to look at the project lists that were distributed last week, so that they can see where in their neighborhood specifically. And we have done in the past oftentimes just a minor modification to projects which make them that much safer. And it's neighborhoods that bring them to our attention. So look real closely at those. The first list is those that are already on the 5-year work plan. So it would take a little modification to get them changed. But the others are all, most of those haven't even been scoped yet. So it's important that we get this input early so that if there is serious speeding issues in an area we're already going to be in to build a crosswalk or a sidewalk or something, that it be addressed on the front end. The worst thing we can do is to build, say, a sidewalk and then find out later the neighbors really wanted also to calm traffic on a collector, for example. So I encourage you to look real closely at that. We're moving forward on those this year.
Thank you, Commissioner Hanson.
And is that regards to the community project list that was distributed?
Yes, it was attached to last week's agenda, but I think it's also elsewhere on the website.
On the website.
Thank you.
Commissioner Goldthorpe, you had a comment?
Yes, I
Question?
just, after sitting and hearing and reading all of the comments and requests and questions having to do with freeing up some more room for the public to utilize infrastructure for either recreation, exercise, or whatever. If there's any way that we can see fit to find a place in the North End or wherever that we don't feel it's more likely than not for someone to get run over in the process, I would really like us to consider that.
Thank you very much.
I agree.
Appreciate the comments. Any other commissioners? Okay, Nina, thank you very much for coming today and bringing your concerns forward. We will circle back with you. Thank you. Next on our list is Mr. Ethan Schweitzer. Are you here? Good morning. Thank you for joining us. If you would please state your name and address for our record.
Yes, my name is Ethan Schweitzer-Gaslin. Props on the pronunciation. I live at 918 North 7th Street. And I wanted to encourage the commission. It sounds like a lot of this is already happening, and I appreciate the testimony from Eric and from Nina, and I just wanted to encourage the commissioners to continue to evaluate whether there are lanes that could be, additional lanes that could be closed to free up space for recreation and travel via bicycle and foot in different neighborhoods throughout the city and throughout the county. I feel very fortunate to live in the North End, where even when a lot of these streets are not closed, they are relatively safe to walk and bike on. But as I travel around the city, I see lots of places that are less safe to do that in, and I've experienced a lot of crowding on the Greenbelt and on trails in the foothills, and that makes maintaining social distancing very difficult. So it would be really great to offer people as many opportunities to recreate close to home, particularly at this time when car traffic is down so much. And I also wonder if there are, in particular, any lanes adjacent to bus stops that have remained open that could be closed. I know there are several areas throughout the city where bus stops don't necessarily have a dedicated boarding area. It's really just a pole on the curb. And I think particularly in this time where using transit has become a much more stressful experience for anybody who has to do that, it would be great to alleviate any stress in any way that we possibly can. And who knows, it may be successful enough that people get excited about having a more smooth boarding experience, and we can look at creating some better infrastructure for that in the future.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate you taking the time today. Any questions?
Madam President?
Commissioner Goldthorpe.
One thing I forgot to mention, in these exceptionally unusual times, the governor has seemed to have some extraordinary authority in what he has opened up, shut down, and the like. And the question I have is if someone from our executive team would find out if it was even possible for the governor to include the rights of way on irrigation canals to open up for the public. I realize that that would be highly unusual, but so is sending a few tons of thousands of people home from work. So that would be a question that I would have for if we could do that or would do that.
Okay.
Madam
Thank you, Commissioner
President,
Goldthorpe.
Madam
Mr.
President,
Price?
Steve Price, I can respond to that.
Okay, Mr. Price, go ahead.
We most certainly, Commissioner Goldthorpe, we most certainly can raise the issue with the governor's staff and see where they fall. I will tell you there's a legal issue in terms of most of the irrigation companies are hesitant, if not prohibitive, of using those maintenance trails along those irrigation facilities. But with the governor's order, that may be the way to temporarily open that up. We'll most certainly address that with his staff.
Okay, and ready to get back to us and let us know what you find out. Thank you, Mr. Price. All right. Is there anyone else on our list, Stacy, that would like to comment?
Nope, we are good.
Okay. No other comments? All right. Seeing none, then we will adjourn. Thank you all very much for coming. Stay well, stay safe, and take care.